The 2022 Annual Shareholders Meeting of Robinsons Retail Holdings Incorporated will now start. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will now play the Philippine National Anthem.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this meeting. May I request the Corporate Secretary to please certify on the sending of notices to the shareholders and to the existence of a quorum for this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I hereby certify that notice of this meeting had been sent to the shareholders of record as of April 5, 2022 through the following methods: by publication in the Manila Standard and Business World for 2 consecutive days in both online and print formats, by sending through electronic mail in accordance with the bylaws of the corporation, by posting on the website of the corporation, and by disclosure to the Philippine Stock Exchange. The shareholders of the corporation have accordingly been duly notified of this meeting in compliance with applicable rules and regulations. I hereby certify that there are present in this meeting via remote communication or by proxy shareholders entitled to vote representing 83.21% of the corporation's total outstanding shares, and that this meeting is therefore competent to transact the business provided for in the agenda. A quorum is present, Mr. Chairman.
There being a quorum, the annual meeting of the shareholders of Robinsons Retail Holdings is hereby called to order. May I request the Corporate Secretary to share with us the rules and procedures for this meeting.
The rules and procedures are set forth in the definitive information statement. The voting results reported during this meeting will be subject to validation by CISIP Gores Velayo and Company, and the final voting results will be reflected in the minutes of the 2022 Annual Meeting of the Shareholders. For the information of the shareholders who are with us now during this live broadcast, the corporation has requested shareholders to send their questions or comments by email. Questions which were received by May 5, 2022 have been collated, and selected questions will be answered later on. The corporation will reply to the questions and comments not taken up during this meeting through email.
Let us now proceed to the next item in the agenda, the approval of the minutes of the 2021 Annual Meeting of the Shareholders. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for this agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, copies of the minutes have been distributed to the shareholders by providing the link to the said minutes in the definitive information statement, by making a copy of the minutes available in RRHI's website, and by showing the QR code on the screen prior to the meeting. The minutes have been approved as submitted by votes representing 83.21% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation.
Thank you. The minutes are hereby approved as presented. Moving on to the next item in the agenda, may I now call on Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe, President and Chief Executive of the Corporation, to present her report together with the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021. Madam President.
Good morning to our shareholders, board of directors, partners, customers, and friends from media. Today, I am pleased to share with you Robinsons Retail's performance in 2021. I will be starting with the macroeconomic environment in the past year and our financial performance highlights, updates on COVID-19, our digital investments and sustainability, and our plans and prospects for 2022. On the macro environment, full-year GDP was at 5.6% in 2021, showing significant signs of post-pandemic recovery. This was primarily attributed to the progress in national vaccination drives and less stringent lockdowns, which set the foundations for revitalization in business activity and the cautious reopening of the economy. I will now share our performance. Let me summarize RRHI's consolidated results for the full year 2021. Consolidated net sales grew by 1.5% year-on-year to 153.3 billion. Blended same-store sales growth of -4.9%. E-commerce sales grew 3.5% year-on-year, accounting for 3.6% of sales. 120 bips lift in gross profit margin to 23%. 10 bips EBITDA margin expansion to 8.5%. Net income attributable to equity holders of the parent company increased by 39.2% year-on-year to 4.5 billion and 14.3% higher than 3.9 billion in 2019. Store portfolio of 2,208 stores and 2,030 TGP franchise branches nationwide. Earnings per share increased by 44% to 2 pesos and 95 cents per share. Our supermarket segment continued to contribute the largest proportion to sales at 57.8%, followed by our drugstore segment at 17.4%. With the easing of restrictions, especially in the fourth quarter of 2021, there was notable recovery in our drugstores, convenience stores, and discretionary formats, which registered positive same-store sales growth. On to our working capital, Robinsons Retail cash conversion cycle was at 18.3 days as we built up our inventory, as we opened more stores in 2021 versus 2020, and to hedge against the global supply chain issue. The group spent 2.4 billion in capital expenditures for 2021. We opened 135 stores in 2021 versus 65 stores in 2020. In 2021, we continued to expand our nationwide footprint and our omni-channel presence, paving the path towards the seamless experiences across various retail channels. We expanded our nationwide store footprint as we ended 2021 with 2,208 stores. I will now talk about our mitigation efforts for COVID-19. As of end February 2022, we were able to have 96% of our employees vaccinated. Last January, select branches of our drugstore banners South Star Drug, Rose Pharmacy, and TGP participated in the Respacuna sa Botica program of the Department of Health. In partnership with local drugstore chains, the program is the most recent vaccination drive spearheaded by government to provide greater access to vaccines. I will now share the progress in our digital investments. We onboarded more banners in Go Robinsons, our very own e-commerce site. We currently have 14 banners on the platform, and online sales grew by around 7 times year on year. Go Robinsons is integrated with our loyalty program, Go Rewards, which currently has over 5 million members nationwide. Likewise, our drugstore and appliances banners, Southstar Drug, Rose Pharmacy, Robinsons Appliances, and Savers Appliances, operate their own e-commerce sites. We are also in partnership with third-party marketplaces, and several of our formats offer call and collect services to customers. To support our thrust for data-driven decision-making, Robinsons Retail invested in Data Analytics Ventures Inc., or DAVI, where we own 40% stake. DAVI provides data solutions to inform precision marketing and gain insights from customer behavior. It currently manages Go Rewards, our loyalty program with over 5.3 million members. I am also pleased to share that one of our major digital investments, Grocery, where we currently have 14.07% stake, continues to succeed in their growth plans. RRHI led the online platform Series A in 2018, along with JG Digital Equity Ventures. We continue to support them by participating in fundraising rounds to maintain our equity in the business. In their Series B in 2021, they raised $30 million in total funding from global marquee investors. Their recently conducted Series C in March raised a total of $77.5 million, which has raised the company's pre-money valuation 3.3 times from its Series B pre-money valuation. Through collaboration with Beauty MNL, where we currently have 13% stake, we launched the first Beauty MNL shop-in-shop in selected branches of Robinsons Department Store and the Marketplace. Beauty MNL is the leading pure beauty e-commerce platform in the country. We added a new investment in our digital portfolios through Ida Mama with a 13.3% equity ownership upon conversion. Ida Mama is a B2C e-commerce platform for childcare products and services. I will now share some of our latest corporate developments. We are delighted to announce that RRHI was recently included in the Philippine Stock Exchange Dividend Yield Index and PSE Mid-Cap Index on March 28, 2022. February this year, we acquired a 40% stake of Mini-Stop Japan in Robinsons Convenience Stores, Inc., increasing our share from 60% to 100%. The acquisition allows us to have more autonomy in the strategic direction of our convenience store business. Rose Pharmacy acquired 10 stores of Cebu-based Ultramart with a total square meter of 1,487. We will convert these stores to Rose Pharmacy to add to our existing 321 stores as of today. As of April 22, we have already converted 5 out of 10 stores to Rose Pharmacy. On November 19, 2021, Robinsons Supermarket won 2 awards during the Golden Grab Awards. The Ultimate Lifesaver, where we became the go-to GrabMart merchant for all grocery essentials, and Campaign King for repeated exceptional sales from fully funded Grab campaigns. Robinsons Retail won 3 awards during the GCash Digital Excellence Awards 2022 held last March 31, 2022. The event gave recognition to enterprises and MSMEs who contributed to the growth of GCash as a platform for digital payments. RRHI was a recipient of the Industry Pioneer Award, signifying that RRHI was one of the first movers to pursue digitization in the service of the Filipino public. Our banners, Robinsons Supermarket and Mini-Stop, were also conferred the Innovation and Growth Award. I will now share some of our initiatives in 2021. On January 26, RRHI became part of Bloomberg's 2022 Gender Equality Index. which consolidates data on women inclusion, leadership, and customer engagement among companies. We are one of only 4 Philippine companies that are included in the index, and the other one is our affiliate Robinsons Land Corporation. We are happy to announce that RRHI was recognized by Corporate Women Directors International as one of the world's top 10 companies led by women. CWDI is a nonprofit organization based in Washington, which surveyed nearly 3,000 companies in 55 countries. At present, 57% of the company's leadership roles are filled by women. We also continued Robinson Supermarket's Farm to Table project, which is our long-term program that provides livelihood to over 700 farmers and promotes sustainable farming. As of December 2021, over 234 tons of fresh produce have been sourced outright through the program. On consumer welfare, Robinson Supermarket was the first to offer more affordable pork and chicken under the Presyong Resonable Dapat program of the Department of Trade and Industry and Department of Agriculture. The Department of Trade and Industry recognized our pro-consumer efforts as we ended 2021 with a total of 131 Bagwis Awards across our banners. TGP conducted its annual 2-day summit for pharmacists and franchisees on August 25 and 26. Day 1 was attended by over 600 TGP pharmacists, and Day 2 of the summit was attended by close to 500 franchisees. Southstar Drug and Rose Pharmacy held a joint summit for pharmacists on September 25 and 26, in concurrent celebration of World Pharmacist Day. The summit was attended by over 1,000 pharmacists. We partnered with the Ateneo Center for Educational Development for a feeding program that focuses on the first 1,000 days of life of children. We currently have 231 beneficiaries in 5 communities in Quezon City. Our total in-kind and gift certificate donations to ASED for 2021 has reached 1.54 million. Lastly, we are happy to once again show support to the University of the Philippines Fighting Maroons men's basketball team in one of the country's biggest intercollegiate athletic events, the UAAP. The UAAP Season 84 kicked off on March 26, 2022. Finally, I would like to share our plans and prospects for this year. We are pleased to welcome our new independent director, Mr. Enrico S. Cruz, who was elected on April 27, 2022. He was the Chief Country Officer of Deutsche Bank Manila branch from June 2003 to July 2019. He previously served as a director of the Bankers Association of the Philippines and was a past president of the Money Market Association of the Philippines. On increasing shareholders' value, the board has approved the additional 1 billion pesos share buyback last February 11 and an additional 1 billion pesos on April 27, 2022. The total amount allotted for the share buyback is 6 billion pesos. To date, we have purchased 82.7 million RRHI shares at an average price of 56 pesos and 30 cents for a total purchase amount of 4.7 billion. The board has also approved the declaration of cash dividends at 2 pesos per share. Our 2022 guidance is as follows: net store additions of 140 to 150, organic capital expenditure of 4 billion to 6 billion pesos, same-store sales target of 5% to 10%, gross margin guidance of 20 bips to 30 bips improvement, e-commerce target of 5% to 7% of total sales. Thank you, and as always, happy shopping.
Thank you. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for the approval of the audited financial statements for the preceding fiscal year.
Mr. Chairman, we are pleased to report that shareholders representing 83.18% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation have approved the audited financial statements of the corporation for the year ended December 31, 2021 as presented. The report of the President is hereby also duly noted.
The report of the President is accordingly noted, and the audited financial statements for the preceding fiscal year are hereby approved as presented. We now go to the election of the members of the Board of Directors. May I request the Corporate Secretary to read the names of the incumbent members of the Board of Directors.
The incumbent members of the Board of Directors are Mr. James L. Go, Mr. Lance Y. Gohongwei, Ms. Robina Gohongwei Pe, Mr. Ian MacLeod, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, and the independent directors are Mr. Antonio L. Go, Mr. Rodolfo P. Ang, Mr. Cirilio P. Noel, and Mr. Enrico S. Cruz.
Thank you. May we now have the list of nominees for election to the Board of Directors and the voting results.
Mr. Chairman, in accordance with the nomination process stated in the bylaws of the corporation, the following have been nominated as members of the Board of Directors: Mr. James L. Go, Mr. Lance Y. Gohongwei, Ms. Robina Gohongwei Pe, Mr. Ian MacLeod, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, and as independent directors, Mr. Antonio L. Go, Mr. Rodolfo P. Ang, Mr. Cirilo P. Noel, and Mr. Enrico S. Cruz. There being no other nominations, the affirmative votes in favor of those nominated have been tabulated, and the following are the duly elected members of the Board of Directors of the Corporation for 2022. Mr. James L. Go, Mr. Lance Y. Gohongwei, Ms. Robina Gohongwei Pe, Mr. Ian MacLeod, Mr. Chu Peng Chi, and as independent directors, Mr. Antonio L. Go, Mr. Rodolfo P. Ang, Mr. Cirilo P. Noel, and Mr. Enrico S. Cruz.
Let us move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the appointment of the external auditor of the corporation. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of the voting for this agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, the accounting firm of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company has been nominated as the external auditor of the corporation for fiscal year 2022. After tabulation of the votes, the appointment of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company as external auditor of the corporation has been approved by shareholders representing 83.21% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation.
Thank you. The accounting firm of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company is hereby appointed as external auditor of the corporation for fiscal year 2022. Let us proceed to the next item in the agenda, which is the ratification of the acts of the Board of Directors and its committees, officers, and management of the corporation. May I call on the Corporate Secretary to present the results of voting for this agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, the list of acts for ratification of the shareholders are being displayed right now on the screen. This list has also been made available to the shareholders by having it uploaded in the corporation's website and by showing the link and QR code to the said list on the screen prior to the meeting. After tabulation of the votes, we are pleased to report that shareholders representing 83.18% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation have confirmed and ratified the acts of the Board of Directors and its committees, officers, and the management of the corporation for the period beginning from the last annual shareholders meeting up to the current shareholders meeting as duly recorded in the corporate books and records of the corporation.
Thank you. The acts of the Board of Directors and its committees, officers, and management of the corporation for the period beginning from the last annual meeting of the shareholders up to the current meeting of the shareholders as duly recorded in the books and records of the corporation are hereby confirmed and ratified. We will now respond to questions which were earlier submitted by our shareholders via email. The questions will be answered by the President and Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Robina Gokongwei-Pe.
Our first set of questions comes from Carissa Magpay of Macquarie Capital Securities. How are sales trending given the reopening of the economy and increased mall foot traffic? How close or far are sales now versus pre-pandemic levels?
We are seeing strong performance across our formats in the first quarter of 2022 as consumers regain greater mobility to visit stores and grow even more accustomed to online shopping. Our essential formats have already surpassed first quarter 2019 sales, while discretionary formats are already close to pre-pandemic levels.
The second set of questions comes from Carissa Reyes of Regis Partners. Can we expect more mergers and acquisitions in the future, and which formats have yet to see consolidation?
We will continue to expand in underserved areas, and we are aiming to open 140 to 150 stores in 2022. On M&As, we are always on the lookout for opportunities, both offline and online, including digital investments that we deem as earnings accretive.
Thank you. Are there any other matters to be taken up for consideration of the shareholders?
There is none, Mr. Chairman.
This ends the 2022 Annual Shareholders Meeting of Robinsons Retail Holdings. A link where a replay of this meeting may be viewed shall be made available at the website of the corporation. Thank you very much for joining us.